have that instinct automatically? Because remember, some of this stuff is genetic. They either have it or they don't, right? This is what it's all about, people. Attack, good boy! He must know that I'm in the dog fight with him. I'm next to him side by side. We have a bond that's unbreakable. Ooh, I know that was a hell of an intro, ain't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
God
How you doing,
damn.
boss?
I'm good, man. I'm glad you can join me, man. Let these people log in. People, come on in. Come on in. This is gonna be a good one because it's Sunday. Ain't no real games on no Monday, no Sunday football. You got me and Stan. So come on in, people. Come on in. We're gonna take some questions as well. Stan, let me set this banner up for you so people can actually come check you out when they want to come check you out. You're on IG and TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. Here we go. Iron Sharp K9. Boom. It's going to show up like this. Boom! You like that, Stan?
Yeah, man.
So let me turn this volume up. Mic check, 1, 2. Woo! Sounds good. Okay. Mic check.
Mic check, mic check.
1, 2, 1, 2. Mic check, 1, 2. Okay. And look what somebody said right now. Yes, sir. Roof. Quadron. Yeah. So are you live right now on yours, Stan?
Yes, I figured out the Facebook.
Okay.
So we should be Gucci there.
Gucci, baby, Gucci. All right, people. This is a good show today because recently I had a couple of acquaintances of mine who have been inquiring about dog training. They've made a couple of home runs where somebody wanted to breed to their dog because of how the dog looks. And so they made some money. They say, hey, bruh, I can do this, bruh. I think this is me, bruh. This is my calling, bruh. I said, my man, it's a lot more to it than that. I said, there's a lot of nice looking dogs out there. You know, what sets yours apart? And this all prompted me to have a podcast, a show today with Stan at Iron Sharp K9 out of Dallas, Texas. And listen, I always have a good time when I come down there and kick it with you and Trev and them. This shit is cool as a motherfucker. But one thing I want to introduce Stan at Iron Sharp K9. Stan, introduce yourself. Tell them who you are, how long you've been doing it.
Well, my name's Stan Smith from Iron Sharp K9. I've been training dogs for about 10 years now, and we do everything from pet obedience to the working dog side of things. I got into dogs because I had a dog run out of my front door, and I didn't have a recall and ended up getting hit by a car. It was a bad feeling. I never wanted to feel that again. So then I got into it. I fell in love with the working dog side of it. It reminded me of sports, and one thing led to another. And now we're here sharing our experiences, making the dog journey easier for everyday people.
You know what, Stan, was, we've met in person a few times, and I always say, man, that if you find a job that you don't consider work, you'll never have to really work again.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
That don't mean you're not putting in work. But
you're putting in the work, but it's a labor of love involved.
Yeah.
It's like you love what you're doing. Now, there are moments, because we are human, that we're like, man, I got to do this shit today. I got to clean a dog shit. I got to fuck with this dog that's dumb as the box of rocks. Mm-hmm. I got to talk to this client who's asking me every day, how my dog, right? So with me, I got to deal with multiple personalities every day, Monday through Saturday, but it's a labor of love. I love what I'm doing because the reward is so fulfilling. Unlike you, I'm not a dog trainer, right? I know how to train dogs. I know how to train my own dogs. I have competed on if they called it IPO then. So I competed. I put a BH on my boy. I put a IPO 1A on my boy. A 1A means without the tracking. I did protection sports. I did the Piddly Italy K9 good citizenship and advanced K9 good citizenship. I'm even an actual AKC evaluator now. I haven't evaluated one goddamn dog yet, but
you got the credentials.
I got the credentials, right? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man. I love animals, but you know, I got into the dog game because I had a passion for the breed, right? So it was never monetary for me. And this whole conversation, people, come full circle because some people are getting into the dog game for the monetary purposes only, not knowing if you have a love for what you're doing, the money will come.
Yep.
It will come. It won't may it come as fast as you want it, but it will come if you stick with it. So Stan, the reason why I bugged the shit out of you to get on first of all, this is our second time online. I appreciate you chiming in on Sunday. I know you got shit to do, but I'm thank you for giving me 55 minutes of your time to talk to people and my people and the community at large, and also me. So our flyer said it for itself. I think the digital flyer said you're buying the wrong dog, or are you buying the wrong dog for yourself? I was watching Oscar Moore, my boy Oscar, who was on this podcast called NWA Kenny Corso. Now, NWA does not stand for niggas, with attitudes. It stands for Northwestern Arkansas.
Mm.
Yeah, Joe, and Oscar and Joe said something very, very interesting. They said people are buying Kenny Corsos because of the looks, not for the utilities of the dog, and then they end up getting something they didn't expect, or they asked for what they wanted and can't control what they got. So my question is, first question, when people are asking for your opinion about their dog, case in point, let's say in this case a Doberman, right? Because that's my breed. What are they asking you? And once you evaluate or the dog or speak to the owner, what are your concerns with today's society post-COVID on buying pets?
That's a lot of questions there, but the main thing is when people ask your opinion about their dog, they want you to tell them what they want to hear. They want you to tell them that their dog is great. They don't need to do any training. It's going to be perfect. They don't ever have to do anything. They actually don't want to hear the truth. And that's one thing about me is I'm always going to tell people the truth about their dog. If I think that the dog can do it, we're going to see what the dog can do. But if I also believe that the dog can't, I'm going to be honest with you about that as well. And yeah, people are getting these dogs for the look and not for the function of what the dog is supposed to be doing. The Corso is a guardian dog. It's supposed to be defending something. They are also very defensive dogs. They are not a dog that likes everybody. They're going to be a little more spooky and reserved on certain things. So you have to expose them a lot to a lot of very situations, and people don't want to do that. And me personally, I don't take Corsos over 9 months old for a boarding train, just because if somebody's bringing me a Corso at 9 months old, that dog's probably has never been exposed to anything, has never had any structure, and now has actually started to act out and lash out to the owner. So now they're like, oh, we need help. But at that point, that dog is probably 90 to 100 pounds of just asshole. And you got to do a lot of work. And fuck, I got bit a week and a half ago from a Corso mix. He was about 14 months old. And I had met the dog when it was younger. And I was like, oh, yeah, you can bring him. It should be fine. And I had him for about 4 days. And on day 4, he was in the crate. And I went to get him out like we did the last couple of days. And he bit my finger. So I call the people and I'm like, hey, you know, he's actually pretty terrified right now, and I don't want to have to go correct this dog because it's going to do more harm than good. So let's do private sessions. Let's work him through it. But he needs a lot of confidence. And just people, they have the wrong misconception about what a good protection dog is. And I think that's what we had talked about as well when we were on the phone. Me personally, my protection dogs, I want to be able to go to an elementary school and do a career day with that dog. And then if I need to go to the hood, I'm going to still take that same dog and he's going to be able to do everything that he needs to do. I don't need a dog who's going to lash out and think everybody's a threat, because everybody is not a threat. You and I both know there's some people that you will not take into certain situations because they're going to act like an asshole. And that's the same thing with these dogs. If I have to put my dog up when people come over, it's not a good protection dog.
Right.
I can't take my dog into a restaurant, it's not a good protection dog. I don't need the biggest, baddest, toughest dog. All I need is a dog who's going to be stable, clear-minded, and know what to do if the situation arises.
That you said some very key points that a lot of people, they went right over their head, and it was very, very layman. Clear-minded. You know, and the other thing you said, without saying the actual word, is exposure. The dog needs exposure. I have made several mistakes, or 2 mistakes, on not exposing a couple of my dogs because I just didn't take the time to go to Home Depot and let my dog hear all these pipes clanging in and carts going across the concrete and the people over the intercom. Aisle 2 cleanup. I never did that. And my dog ended up being defensive. At the same time, we're training him to be civil, you know, so that's a huge conflict. So clear-minded is very important. So my question is to you, when you talk about people doing board and train, because you do offer board and train as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you do a board and train, and people, if you're looking for a good trainer, and sometimes the distance may not be appropriate, but listen, if you want to get your money's worth and get what you pay for, check out my man Stan out there in Dallas, Texas, Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area. You can find him on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. He's also been on, was it K9 Top Dog? America Top Dog. Check, Google that shit. We're going to talk about that too. That's another thing to write down. Top Dog. See, I'm writing questions down. I don't have a script. And then we will all, just consult with him. He, I don't know if you charge him for a verbal consulting fee over the phone, but don't waste his time. Don't fuck him around and bullshit him. Have good intentions, because his time is money, and he's training other folks' dog. That's why text messages is almost better than goddamn calling you on the phone.
Yeah, so you answer them when you get to it.
Right. So my question is to you is when you're doing a board and train, and let's say you get a pit, well, any dog, and this person said, I want this dog to be a personal protection dog. I'm giving them to you, blah, blah, blah. There's no guarantee this dog is going to be that dog. So are you doing any kind of evaluation before you take the dog, and depending on where they're from?
Yeah, if they're local, we'll do an evaluation for sure. But if they are, from a distance, I had a guy come up from Oklahoma, and he had these 2 bullies, and they checked all of the boxes. They looked good. They had a little bit of drive. Well, they didn't check all the boxes. Sorry. They looked good. They had a little bit of drive, but they didn't have that dog in them. So I did an evaluation. I had the dog for about 3 weeks, and I'm like, hey, they're kind of slow. Maybe we just need to let them mature a little bit, because bullies are slow to mature. So I was like, hey, take them home for a little bit, bring them back, and we'll try again. And he brought them back, and we tried again, and they just didn't have it. And we, of course, wanted to try the prey drive method. Hey, chase this. It's fun. You can play tug. Boom, boom, boom. You're going to win. He would do it maybe twice, and then he'd be like, nah, I'm done, and lay down. So then we were like, okay, cool. You're old enough. We can put a little pressure on you and see if you come out that way. And we started, messing with him, agitating him a little bit more, and he would just shut down. So he never lashed out like to defend himself. Right. So at that case, at that point, I'm like, look, dude, I said, we can get your dog to bite, but he's going to be a fear biter. He's not going to be a dog that you can trust. He's not going to be a dog that's going to be like, hey, oh, there's a burning, somebody just robbed you. Let me go and run on top of a vehicle to go get them back or anything like that. And I just told the guy, I'm like, you got deterrent dogs. They look the part, but can you trust them? No. And he's like, well, can you try this? And he plays ball and he does this. I said, look, I get it. He plays ball. But when you ask him to like work for the ball, he shuts down. If you put any pressure on him, he shuts down. So in your situation, if somebody's doing something to you, they're not going to have a ball. You're not going to have time to motivate your dog to do it. You need to be able to say 1 to 2 words when your dog goes from being calm, cool, and collected to in work mode. And that's the thing. The other day we had a 5K that we went to and we were demoing, and I'm walking around with Boot in the crowd, and Jamil puts on his suit, and a couple of people are like, oh, what dog's going to attack him? And you're like, this dog right here. They're like, that dog's not going to do anything. He's too sweet. He was just letting the kids pet him. I'm like, yeah, that's the point. He should be able to do that. And then 2 seconds later, oh, we're working now? And he goes and does anything that we want him to. He'll go on top of a car. He don't care about gunshots, like water. If I tell him to go bite, he's going to go bite. And he is a concealed carry. And I like it that way. I don't want people to be afraid of my dogs. I want to be approached by people, especially, what I do is I want people to be comfortable around. Yesterday, we took him to a Comic-Con event, and there was a couple of times I'm like, man, they had a dude with a mask on.
Oh, shit.
Gun on. I'm like, man, I said, Boot. I looked at him. He looked up at me. He's like, are we doing that? I was like, nah, we ain't doing that. But he was ready to go. And at the same time, all of these people in costumes and mask and everything else, he had no issues whatsoever. Like, I wasn't worried about him biting anybody. But if we needed to, I know he would have. And a lot of people, I think they have a misconception about what a good protection dog is. And I think they see videos on the internet of the baddest of the bad dogs. And it's like, cool, yeah. But that's all they can do with this dog. That's the only thing that this dog is good at. And if you live a life where you need nobody to come on your property or nobody to come in your house ever, oh, cool, we can make that dog for you. But my lifestyle, I want my kids to be able to be around. I want my family to be able to be around my dogs. If I'm coming over and I open my front door and Boot runs out, I don't want him to be like, oh shit, he's about to bite somebody. Like, the worst thing he's gonna do is he'll jump on you and be like, hey, pet me, dude. Yeah. You got to make sure that people understand that there's a difference between like a guard dog and a protection dog.
It's interesting because I'm in this realm of the Doberman world where people want that menace look. They want that intimidating look. And for me, I like the look too. Mm-hmm. But my motherfucker better turn on and turn off. Now, does he have to be ultra forgiving? No, because hopefully I never have to turn him on until it's time to really put in that work. Mm-hmm. Like case in point, I was at Jiffy Lube today, sat in the car, had to get this Prius oil change. I'm giving it to my niece. I've had it for 13 years now. She's got a driver's license. I said, let me bless my niece with a car because I ain't never been blessed with shit. Everything I got, it's either been broke when I got it or I had to pay a monthly note on it, right? But I know I'm going to get a blessing for it. So my boy's in the back. Of course, I have a cage that separates the back seat from because it's a Prius V with the big hatchback. Mm-hmm. And I have the cage separating from the back seat to the back so he can't reach over the back seat. And so you know how Jiffy Lube walks around your car, checking your tire pressure and shit. So my boy Brutus is 16, 17 months now. He see the guy stooping up and down, but don't know that he's checking tire pressures on his car. He's firing up. And you know what I said? Good boy. Good boy. So because I'm marking that behavior. Now, when it's time to kick in off on the field, that's when training. And again, he's only been in the world 16 months, Dan. And he's a male dog, a large breed male dog. So mentally, he probably won't be mature for another year and a half, 2 years, maybe.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's like people are getting into these exotic. Oh, I'm not gonna say exotic. These working line dogs, with the concept of it being a pet dog, and when the dog fires up, and they have no control over it, then oops, it's a liability. Because I always say, correct me if I'm wrong, and I say this almost every other podcast. I said protection training. That's right. Tell them no. Tell Daddy said no, right?
Too much.
Listen,
They try to be, but they back there playing. And
I know, right?
yeah.
Listen, I always say, Stan, I said, and agree or disagree with me. I always said protection training is really obedience training. Let me tell you why. Because when I do protection training and we do in scenarios like I do a send off and a recall before it gets to the decoy, I'm teaching him to listen to me while he's in prey. I'm teaching him listen to while he's in the heat of battle. When we're doing bite work, when the decoy stiffens up and I said out, he's out and he's coming back to me in a heel position. Even though he's biting when he loves to do this shit. That's what he lives for. When I throw a ball and I see somebody running across the street, I say, Alonzo, OPA. He leaves that ball, he comes back to me. So now protection training is going over the scenarios over and over. Like you said it, I'm a point right here. You said it when your dog, right there, when your dog goes between your legs and runs out the front door. Will he listen to you when he runs out that front door? That's going to separate a dog trained or a dog not trained. Yeah. So with me, I always say when you're doing a certain style personal protection, generally off leash, on and off leash, you're really training him to identify what's a threat, what's not a threat, what's time for prey, and what's time to play. That's me. Now, I'll let you chime in. You tell me what you think.
No, I mean, I agree with you. And it's like the out command. The out command is obedience. I'm telling my dog to do something. They should respond. It shouldn't be a fight. It shouldn't be a tussle. If I call my dog back to me, regardless of what they're going for, yes, the dog still should return. So I agree with you. It's an obedience because all dogs will bite. Some of my worst bites have came from dogs that did not know what they were supposed to be doing. My fearful dogs, the Roddy that tried to take my thumb off, never had any protection training. The dog who bit me the other day never had any protection training. And yes, I've been bit during protection training, but the dogs were doing what they're supposed to. And I was just a little bit too slow, or I tried to do something a little bit too much and, get bit in the face or whatever it is. So when these people are coming to me and they're like, hey, I want my dog to do bite work. And it's like, okay, cool. Can you tell your dog to sit? Can you tell your dog to down? And they're like, no, I just want to go bite somebody. I'm like, yeah, you're probably not somebody I want to work with because you're trying to have a dog that's all gas, but you're not putting no brakes on. And if you're not putting brakes on these dogs, like you said earlier, it's a liability. It's not an asset at that point. If I have to worry about my dog biting every single person that there is, that is not a comfortable feeling. Like if I think, oh, if somebody does the wrong thing, my dog's gonna lash out. Like I'm always gonna be on edge. I can take Boot anywhere, and I'm like, oh, sometimes I forget he's even there because he's just laying down. And we've gotten compliments at several times at bars. They were like, oh, dang, that dog was here this whole time. We didn't know. I said you shouldn't have. But there was one time where we went to a bar. This little dog jumped on Boot. It was a bulldog, and we walked in. I saw the dog. I was like, yeah, we're going to go on the opposite side of the bar because that dog don't look like it got no obedience training at all. And we're sitting there, and I'm waiting for a beer, and all of a sudden this dog comes over and jumps on Boot. And he's asleep. Boot's knocked out. Dog jumps on him. It's a bulldog. They got an underbite, so he can't really hurt my dog at all.
Right. He's breathing out of his mouth anyway.
Yeah, I was like, man, this dog will run around twice around this bar, and he'll die. So I picked the dog up and I brought it back to the guy, and the guy's like, why the fuck you holding my dog? Da, da, da. I said, whoa, whoa, whoa. I said, your dog jumped on my dog. I said, I could have done a lot of other things. I could have kicked your dog. I could have threw your dog outside. I could have did a lot of things, but I'm bringing your dog back to you. I'm not even upset at this point. And then he just starts going cussing and everything. So then, I got a little upset myself. Like, hold on. Manager comes over. What happened? I said, man, this fucking dog come and jumped on my dog. No, your dog. I said, no. Your dog is not under control. I looked at Boot, told him to down. He drops into a down. The dog is still trying to get Boot. And my manager looks at me. He's like, well, your dog's not listening. His dog is. So I think I'm going to side with this guy over here. And after that, Boot was on edge. He was turned up. He had his head up. He was looking around. And I'm like, okay, Boot, you got a little gangster in you. And ever since that point, people walking up on the car, he's turned up on. He's really a lot more aware of his situation and his surroundings. But at the same time, we can still go to do career days at elementary schools. We can still go to Comic-Con. I can take him anywhere, and I'm not worried about it. But he realizes that, hey, I do got to be heightened sometimes, especially if he feels me get upset. He's like, oh, who did it? Who did it? What are we doing? What are we doing?
Yeah.
But obedience is the most important thing whenever you're having any dog, from a pet dog to a working dog. You should be able to communicate with your dog. And at the end of the day, it's all communication. I don't want to have to rely on the collar. I don't want to have to rely on the leash. If I tell my dog, no, come, stop, whatever, they should respond to that. And I think a lot of people, especially in like the working side world, they rely too much on the collars and not on the actual training. Everybody wants it to be quick. It's not a quick process. Boot's 3 years old, and I've been training him and working with him since 8 weeks old, at least once a day with him. And the work shows. When you came up, we had him going over the creek, going back. I called him off. He comes all the way back, jumps up the wall, send him right back. And we didn't know he was on. I didn't have to use an e-collar. He didn't have to get fried. I barely even had to raise my voice. And that is what I think most people should strive for, is a dog that you can rely on just off your voice.
Man, I would say this, and there are a lot of trainers out there, but I think in the state of Texas, I think you're one of the top dogs. I'm not stroking and shit. I'm not bullshitting. Everything you've been saying and what I've seen, and I talk about the other part too, the dogs I've been seeing you work online. I went to my first personal protection seminar training. Oscar Moore at Elevated Canine had, and they had two positions. They had an auditor that you can just sit there and watch and ask questions, and they had participants. And I said, fuck it, I want to participate. And he pointed out so many things that I was doing incorrectly that nobody really pointed out to me, because I haven't been into the handler game in years. And he said, Gerald, listen, you shouldn't have to raise your voice. He said, if you're raising your voice and you at top level already, and you go out there and you compete, or you're in a battle with your dog, he's already hearing the top voice. You got nowhere to go. It's like, I'm hearing this already, so that means keep going. No, my top voice should be when it really needs to be heard, right? And it made sense. And I used to say, because all my dogs, I talk to them in French. I said, every time I told my boy to go down, coucher, I said, coucher, voila. I said, assis, and he sits in the sit, voila. I said, dabu, he stands up. I said, voila. He said, you saying voila with everything. He said, Gerald, say one command. Don't confuse the dog. Make things clear. You remind me so much of Chris Sykes, man, at Psycho K9. Man, when you come out here, dude, you got to get with these guys, because I love it when I see young men, and I'm 54 this year, so I got some age in you guys. I love to see young men who are not only passionate at what they do, but they're steadily trying to improve their knowledge of the game. Like Jai Leverett over there at Cali K9. These guys, man, you guys are making these old heads look real fucked up, because the old school shit they're doing is just, it's staying into dust, bro. It's not evolving. Like, case in point, you said a great point on one of your shows. I mean, one of your clips, your reels. You said, hey, the e-collar and the prong is a tool. It's not supposed to be used as regular everyday usage. People are using these prongs on 3-4 month old puppies, have it all the way down here. I'm like, dude, you're putting too much. You're correcting him when he doesn't want to correct it. You're wearing it when he's not supposed to be wearing it. It's supposed to be a training tool. Like the training wheels. You put them on until you learn how to ride a fucking bike.
Yep. And if I saw you riding a bike with training wheels, I'm going to be like.
Exactly. So for me, I get your point. So I want to get back to the board and train because I know, listen, that right there is good for not only trainers, but it also gives the opportunity for you to understand the dog one-on-one. When you get a dog that is a dog that has behaviors, whether he's defensive, well, he's probably going to be defensive because he don't know shit about being civil at that point. But let's say he's defensive and you just can't reach in that kennel and get him because he's like, yo, we ain't got a bond. He don't trust me. Some trainers' tactics in creating a bond is starving the dog out for a couple of days, 2 or 3 days, and then feeding them with his hand. What are some of your techniques on building a bond with these dogs you board and train that has never stayed with nobody else, and that is staying with you, your 6'5" ass?
I'm not 6'5".
I know you're not. I'm fucking with you.
Art of 6'5". Now, Art is
6'5" in the heart, but let's change the number, right? I'm just kidding. I'm messing with you.
But I mean, the bonding process, I usually spend, regardless if the dog has behavioral issues or just a goofy puppy, I'm going to spend the first 4 or 5 days just buddying up with them. So we're going to go out. I'm going to walk them around. I'm going to see how confident they are on obstacles. I have the obstacle course in my front yard. So the A-frames, the catwalk, wobbly platforms, just to see how confident the dog is. And then, are they food motivated? Does this dog want to take some treats from me? Does this dog eat every time I put the food in his crate or whatever it is? But it just takes time. And that's where with this one dog, at day 4, he's been eating good. He went over a couple of obstacles. You can tell he was still a little spooked, a little scary here and there. But I was like, we're making progress. And then I reached in there and he bit me. So I was like, we gotta reevaluate this, because he was, at that point, he was so afraid. It probably would have taken another week or 2 before he even trusted me. And at that point, we're 2 weeks in a 3-week board and train. It's like, I'm not gonna say we can fix this in a week. You know, we probably could, but I'm not gonna risk it. I'm not gonna put the stress on myself either, because at that point, now you're going to be trying to rush the process versus trusting the process. And the thing is, you can't rush with a dog. It's like, I got spoiled with Rocco. He was my first dog. I showed him something one time and he was like, oh, okay, cool, I can do that. Oh, wait, I can actually do it better than that because I know you like it. And he was just a dog we did everything with. So it was really easy. And then the next dog I got was Oakley. She was a little less willing to try things, and I had to work with her a lot more. And it would frustrate me when she didn't pick up things right off the bat. So then I would go to correct. This was early in my training days. I would go to correct behaviors versus still trying to motivate behaviors. So she would actually shut down when I would get frustrated or flustered. And I had to learn, basically, I had to keep my emotions right, because the dogs are going to feed off you. If you're tense, if you're frustrated, if you're upset, the dog is going to feed off of that as well. So the bonding phase, it's just figuring out what the dog likes. Some dogs like tennis balls and tugs and stuff like that. So, hey, we're going to play some ball. I'm not going to ask you to do any commands. I'm just going to see if you want to play with me, if you're willing to drop it, if I have another one. But just taking my time, and you have to be patient. And I think that's the hardest thing for people, is they want a finished dog as soon as they get it. And they don't realize, okay, cool, you have a puppy. He's going to be a puppy for 18 months, let's just say that. And you want him to be finished at 6. It's just not realistic. And there's some dogs, again, you can get to the point where they're going to do everything that you want at 6 months old. But if you have a confident dog, if you have a dog that has any amount of self-belief, they're going to challenge you one day. And if you've never really set no boundaries, and if you've never shown them what to do, that dog's going to flip you a bird. And a lot of times, people create the behavioral habits of the dog barking at other dogs or the dog barking at other people. Because when they do it, the dog gets removed from that situation, which the dog wants to. I'm not comfortable. I'm going to bark. Oh, if I bark, I get taken away? Cool. Then the next time they have to raise that level. Oh, barking didn't work? Well, let me lunge at this person. And then they're like, oh, let me put them up. Oh, lunging didn't work? Let me bite this person. And then they realize that they got to keep going up and up and up. And I tell pet people, I said, the same thing you're doing with your pet dog is what we do with protection dogs. If I reach for a tug and he barks and growls at me, I go, oh my God, you scared me. If he bites me, I say, oh my God, you win. And then the dog starts upping the ante and upping the ante. and they don't realize they're actually creating the problems. Because I can get the dog, I can take the leash from the owner, and the dog doesn't act like that. And they're like, well, what are you doing different? Well, one, I'm not holding the leash tight. I'm giving the dog slack, and I'm also correcting the behaviors before the dog is getting to the point where they go red. And a lot of times, if we stop the behaviors, the insecurities, the barking, the growling before they happen, we don't have to worry about correcting them when they turn on. And people are getting these Corsos, these Mastiffs, these Pit Bulls, these Malinois that were designed when they go red, they check out. Pain doesn't matter to them no more. You could choke them out. I mean, we've seen dogs that on a bite, you choking them out, they pass out, wake up, go right back to the bite because they're just turned on. And that's what people don't realize. Once these dogs go red, you're in for some trouble. And especially if that dog doesn't respect you. And the respect doesn't mean like you have to beat the dog up. Respect means that you've shown the dog, hey, if I say no, it means something. You're not going to get your tug. You're not going to get your food. You're not going to be able to go on a car ride. That was one of the things I did with Rocco. If I would get him out, we would do some healing and say he didn't heal right that I liked. I'm like, you know what, bro? I know you want to go on this ride with me, but you're missing this one because you didn't want to listen. And he started realizing, okay, if I don't do the right thing, I don't get my reward. And it wasn't that I corrected him into it. I just motivated him a different way.
Question. In this dog game that you're in, and you're a professional dog trainer, I'm going to make sure people understand that. In this dog game that you're in, as a professional master dog trainer, I saw a video you recently got bit by, was that a Rottweiler?
So that video was from about 5 years ago.
Oh shit!
Yeah, that was an old video. But Trev had just got the Rottie, and he, Boogeyman, couldn't think of the dog's name. I'm like, damn, he got too many dogs. But Boogeyman, he barks and he like lunges in the crate, and he wanted to show people that, hey, this behavior doesn't mean that the dog's gonna actually bite you. And so we just posted that video of when I got bit. But Rotties are that way. I mean, they are a dog that, especially if they don't have their tail, they don't really give you too many signs that they're going to do something. They just do what they need to do. And that's what they were bred to do. So it's not a bad thing, but you have to notice that.
Let me ask you a question. So I see a lot of videos with your clients and they're doing rag work or prey drive work. What's the percentage that you have, from 1 to 100%, that the dogs that you're actually testing for these clients, that these dogs are actually built or have a chance to be to do any kind of this protection training? It's like, I see some of them, I'm like, no, and remember, I'm only watching 1 or 2 videos, so I don't know the progression. But like, what's the percentage of these dogs that actually turn out to be a protection dog? And also, are these people being consistent with coming back for training?
So the last part you said is going to raise or lower that percentage. So if somebody is consistent about coming out and they put the time in, and then when I say, hey, this is what I would do between sessions, and they do the homework, I mean, you're going to be in that 80 percentile. But if you come out one or 2 times here, then miss 2-3 months, and then go to somebody else, and then do this, and then now we got to come back and fix something, it's going to take a lot longer to build that dog. I don't know if you ever seen a video of this dog named Spot. Spot was a Mastiff mix that wandered up on these people's property, and they came out and they're like, hey, we want to see what this dog would do. The first time I cracked the whip, the dog climbed up in the girl's lap and was like, hey, can you save me? Can you help me? I want to get out of here. It was like, hey, you need to build this dog's confidence up, X, Y, and Z. Fast forward, say 6 months later, you crack a whip, this dog looks through your soul, shows you every tooth in his mouth, and he has spit coming out. But at the same time, he's the nicest dog. They have church camp. The kids come over. He could be around horses. They had him herding cows. But he had to get his confidence built up. And it was a process. I'm not saying it was easy. But once the dog realized, oh, I can win in these situations and mama likes it, the dog is going to work harder. So if you put in the time and the work, it may take a year, year and a half, 2 years, but you can get that dog that you're looking for. And we tell people, if you want a specific kind of dog, you have to be selective about the breeding. You have to be selective about the dog that you're getting. Because yes, there are dogs at 8 weeks old that are going to have a whole lot of confidence, and you don't have to do as much about building the dog's confidence. Boot is that example of that. He wasn't the dog originally picked out of the litter. I wanted a pretty dog. He was not the prettiest dog out of the litter. But when we went and evaluated him, I had my blank gun, I had my sack, my rag work, I had a can of BBs, and I dropped the can. Boot looked at it, he's like, and walks off. I said, okay, cool, I like that. I shot the blank gun. He looked at it. He didn't run up, try to bite me. He didn't run off. He just was like, okay, cool. The thing that got me was the kid. She had like a 5-year-old son, and he was playing with the puppies, and he was running around with it, and he had Boot, and he threw him up in this like kiddie pool that, it rained or whatever, and he hits the water, and he shakes it off, and he just walks out. I said, ooh, I like that. Then the next thing he did was run up the stairs of the porch. Boot runs up there. I said, oh, yeah, I want that one. Because none of the other dogs climbed up the stairs. They were all neck and neck. But the thing that took him over was like, oh, you do obstacles already? I like it. And, not even knowing, we took a trip back from Arkansas. It was probably, say, 6 hours from where we are. He didn't get car sick. First time being in a car, was chill. He slept the whole way. And all of these things are very good signs. And then people come bring me dogs. They're like, man, he's throwing up in the car and he's a year old. And I'm like, man, that's not a good sign. Oh, you can't get the dog to walk on slippery floors. Oh, that's not a good sign. Oh, your dog doesn't like noises. That's not a really good sign for a protection dog. You're starting behind the 8 ball, and then they're expecting the dog to be fixed quickly. They want to come out and spit in for 8 sessions and be like, oh, the dog's not done yet. You're not that good. Hey, cool, go to somebody else. If you think fixing a year-old dog is done in a month, I don't want to deal with you. And the people that are coming out now, I think I've started to articulate kind of what I expect from people. And I tell them it's not going to be fast. You are going to have to put in some work. And no, I'm not going to tell you your dog's the best dog in the world, because I'm not going to lie to you. Because one, if you think in your head, okay, cool, my dog is going to defend me in a situation, you may be more confident in situations where you shouldn't be.
Right.
You need to make sure that dog is going to do what it needs to do. For instance, I had a guy build me a pistol, right? And I liked it. It was custom. It was the colors I wanted. But say every 50th shot, it jammed, right? Mm-hmm. That's not a reliable gun. You know what I did? That gun is in the back in my case. I still have it, but that's not my daily carry. That's not a gun I'm grabbing first off the mantle. That's going to be a last resort, and I'm going to hope and pray that it works how it needs to be. I'm going to get the gun that I know is going to fire. I'm going to get the one that I can rely on. Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing with the dogs. If I'm going into some situations, even at 11 years old, I'm bringing Rocco. Like, Rocco's going to be that dog because I know he's going to give everything.
Didn't I take bite work from Rocco? That's that 11-year-old pit you got?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I mean, still at 11. And before that, I probably haven't even worked him for about 2 months before I seen you guys.
It's interesting because, the dogs that we keep for our own pet, we know what we're looking for. We have a standard. Mm-hmm. We don't get any dog that anybody gives us, right? And so we may go through a few dogs to get that one right dog. And we're never going to duplicate the best dog that we ever had. So with that being said, I've noticed that your demo dog is a don't tell me, Australian Shepherd. Mm-hmm. Okay. And people, this is what happened when I saw this dog work. And we're gonna get to his 101 Dalmatian dog he got. So this dog, Stan did at least 2 or 3 figure 8s between his leg, went into a heel position, then went into a down position in between your leg, then went back to the heel position. The decoy is on the other side of the dam, right? This dam is about 40 feet and 40 linear feet, maybe 50 linear feet.
Yeah, at least.
Right. So there's a wall that drops down, 6 feet wall. Then there's a pathway, concrete pathway where you can walk in between the river, the small river. And then on the other side is another 6 feet wall. And then there's a patch of grass there. So there was a decoy. Who was the decoy? Who was that guy?
I think it was Jamil.
Jamil, yeah. Jamil was on the other side. So people Stan's doing all this with the dog and shit, you know. Yeah. And then you sent the dog. The dog jumps off the wall with confidence through the water, not on the walk path, but through the water, swims through the water, climbs up the 6 feet retaining wall, and you called him off before he got to the decoy. The decoy must have been 2-3 feet in front of him. You called him off. He came back down the dam through the water. We're back up the retaining 6 feet wall, come to a hill position, and then you sent him. He did it all over again, and you let him have the prize. He took the bite. You outed him, and he came back. Now, the dog's clear in the head. I want to know when you're going to start having this Dalmatian do this.
So
you got to tell me.
She had just recently started getting interested in bite work, and it took her about 5 months before she cared about it. So we're working on her bite right now, and I want to make sure she has a good bite before we start really working on the outs. And that's not to say that I don't out her already, but I haven't put a lot of like control on her yet with the obedience, just because she hadn't really cared about allure. She's more aloof to things than I would like. She reminds me of a German short-haired pointer, and I'm like, oh, you gotta be very selective about this, because if they don't want to do something, they'll just look at you and be like, beep. So I haven't really put a lot of like bite work on her just yet, but I'm not worried about it because I don't really care until she's about 14 months old. So over the next 7 months, you're going to start seeing a lot more work being done with her, is because she is starting to care about the tug. She does start having a good bite. So yeah, she's going to be doing it. And she's going to be one that people are definitely not going to expect to do no bite work. And that's one reason why I got her. It's another dog that people aren't used to seeing. I personally only had seen like maybe 3 before I got her. And now I see him all the fucking time. It's fucking weird. But it was a dog that you're not used to seeing do anything. And now we're going to get her to do obstacle course. We're going to get her to do bite work. She's going to probably wall climb. I'll probably have her pulling weight. They have that obstacle course. It's called like One Course something. It's in Arkansas. It's like a 3.5 mile obstacle course you do with your dog. Like we're probably going to do stuff like that. So yeah, you're going to start seeing a little bit more of Raisha. She's getting out there.
But now she's not the typical Dalmatian as far as aesthetics, because her spots are brown versus black, right?
Yeah, she's liver.
Yeah, so I never seen that until I saw yours. Tell me about how did you get on this show called Don't Tell Me, Top Dog?
America's Top Dog.
America's Top Dog. How did you get on there? What happened?
I mean, social media. So they had put a post up and was like the ultimate obstacle course for your dog. And then people kept sending me the link. Hey, you guys would be good at this. Rocco could do this. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna apply for it. Worst thing that can happen is they don't call us. So I applied for it, forgot about it, right? I get a phone call one day. It's like, hey, this is Lindsay from Big Fish Entertainment. I'm like, who's this?
Big Fish.
Oh. Well, what I got a couple of minutes for you now. So I'm talking to her. She's like, hey, can you do an interview? We like the videos that you've seen of Rocco. If there's any more videos that you can send us of him so we can kind of see what he's doing, and then we'll do an interview process. So I'm like, cool. I probably sent 100 videos in like 100 different situations of him climbing up this, doing this, blah, blah, blah. And I just had the content, because before anybody knew who we were and we had a name, I just liked recording my dog and I liked seeing him do stuff, and I just posted it. I didn't post it for anybody. And you had mentioned earlier, I didn't get into the dog game because I wanted to make some money. I just didn't ever want to lose a dog. So I had all of these videos. He was doing stuff without having to have the e-collar, the prong collar. He did it in various situations. And I was a black guy with cowboy boots with a pit bull. and it was not what people were used to seeing. So it's like, hey,
Right.
this would be good visuals here. We did the interviews. We talked to them. We had about 2 interviews, and they were like, well, can you get to California this time? I said, yes, ma'am, we can. And we went out there, and I just played with my dog. And I was really nervous about going out there because I'm like, national TV, we're going up against people who've been training dogs for 15 years. I just got into the game. This is my first dog. I'm like, oh, man, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? We go out there, and I actually put a prong on. We got out of the car. We were about to walk into the hotel. I put a prong on him. And, like, if Rocco had a prong at that time, he was a robot. He did everything that I wanted him to do. But he wasn't Rocco. So he wouldn't be as great as he could be because he's like, okay, is it raining? I think it just started raining. I just let all them dogs out. They'll be all right. But he put the prong collar or had the prong collar on him. And I'm like, you know what? You've probably heard this expression too. You got to trust your dog. And me putting a prong collar on Rocco was me not trusting him. So I took the collar off. And at this point, he didn't like people petting him. He didn't really care about none of that. But I trusted my dog. He didn't bite anybody. Went out there and he made a name for himself. And we were on ESPN. We were on TMZ. We were the commercial for the site. We were the main person because I did everything with my dog as well. So it was an obstacle course where you had to jump over X, Y, and Z. And I did all of that with my dog. But I just have always did it with him.
Right.
So went to America's Top Dog. It wasn't like this is the first time I'm doing this. This is like, this is another walk in the park. And you can see it on the video. Somebody asked what episodes. We were on season 1, episode 2. I think it was called The Fast and the Furious or something like that.
Hold on. See, have your people to type that into the chat right now, Stan.
Yeah.
Have them to type it in. Somebody's running your page for you.
Oh, I'm doing both right now.
Oh, okay.
But when we went out there, I mean, he just did everything that he was supposed to do. And if we would have spent a little bit more time on the drug detection part, we probably would have won that episode. And every cop on that episode and everybody who's seen it was like, hey, if y'all had that drug detection, nobody was messing with y'all on no obstacle course. And then we got invited to another police dog competition called the Space Coast Police Dog Competition. And we've won that for the last 4 years. So it just goes down to having a relationship with your dog and being able to trust your dog. But you also have to trust yourself. The reason why I trusted Rocco in those situations is because, I knew he could jump through a car window. That's easy. I just did that because I thought it was cool. He liked chasing balls and tugs. Cool. Jumping over stuff. If he sees me go over it, he's going to come with me. He absolutely, absolutely hates water. But if I get in a pool, you know where he's going?
He's getting it with you.
And even Nick White on the episode, he's like, Stan had to jump in, and that's a lot wetter, but lead by example. I'm not going to ask my dog to do something that I wouldn't do.
You know what, Stan? It was almost like, are you actually from Dallas? You from Texas? You from Texas? Smaller town? Tyler, Texas?
My dad was military, so I'm from a little bit of everywhere, but yes,
Right.
I consider Texas home.
So here's my thinking. It's like you're from a country metropolitan town, and you come to the big city, right? And it's like, I'm actually going to be on national TV. Dude, it had to fucking hit you. I'm like, to me, I'd have been nervous, but at the same time, confident. Like, I'll give you an example.
But at the same time, I've played sports my whole life. I mean, we've played sports on very high levels. Like, I was an All-American in college. We went to the state track meet in high school. We've done these things. We were regional champs. Yeah. I've been on the stage and we've performed. So it was just another stage. And it was the practice that happened when nobody saw. Nobody saw the nights where it's 10 o'clock at night and I got my headlights on at a playground with Rocco. Nobody saw those things. But when we got on America's Top Dog, it got presented to the world.
Saw the finished product.
The dog can do it. And again, it's not easy. It took work. But I wasn't training when we got there. And a lot of people, they wait to the moment that they're on the stage, then they want to train. Even the Space Coast Police Dog competition that we go to, people are training the week of, the day of. And it's like, cool, you're going to compete at this competition at the end of the month, at the end of the year. Why are you not doing something with your dog to prepare them for that? Why are you trying to wait to the day of? And the dog's like, I ain't never seen this before. You drag them through, and it's like, you're gonna have to drag your dog through the competition too. And when we go to the competitions, I'll take Boot. I'll walk through the obstacles maybe 1 or 2 times. He sees it. I don't have to do it 100 times because one, we've done it 100 times not here. He's been on several playgrounds. He's been on A-frames. He's been on wobbly bridges. I literally, if I'm driving and I'm like, hey, that looked like a nice park over there. I'll be like, I got 4 minutes. Skirt, pull over. Hey, come on, let's go. And that's just what I do with all of my dogs. So when we go to America's Top Dog or police dog competition, there's say 1,000 people in the stands screaming, yelling. It's just me and my dog. And that's just one thing that I've learned with track. I don't know if you ever seen the movie Biker Boys.
Yeah.
When he's on the bike and he gets that tunnel vision, he doesn't hear anything else. When I'm out on the field with my dog, like it's literally just me and my dog. There's a million people watching. And at that point, it's just me and my dog. And I try to get people to understand that, like, don't worry about everything else that's going on because one, nobody else knows your dog messed up until you display that your dog messed up. And once you get that out of your head that this person's going to judge my dog or this person's going to say this about my dog, I don't give a fuck. Like, I used to be bothered by it, the comments, but like nowadays, like, okay, look, my dog is my dog and my dogs are going to perform for me. And that's all I care about.
Yeah. I equate that, man, in so many life experiences, man. I always said, Stan, that discipline is when no one's watching. And I would say this, like when I was getting my boy ready for a BH, and this is in 2014, IGP has taken a lot of fucking shit out of the goddamn the trial now, where most of the shit is on leash. But back in the day, 10, 11 years ago, when you trying to put a BH on a dog, most of that shit is off leash, figure eights and all that shit, right? Long downs while the other dog doing their BH. And I remember those countless days and nights training at Wolfgang Field, getting them dialed in. And I was going to be nervous when I got out there. And for the first 7-8 seconds, I was nervous. But after that, it was just me and my dog. And another situation too is like, I don't know if you can't tell, but I used to bodybuild for almost 4 years. I stopped just about 1.5 years ago. And I was at the gym twice a day, doing cardio in the morning, fasted, and then doing cardio again at the end of my workout every day, especially if my macros say I need to increase the calories and lower the carbs. It's all goofy stuff. And I would prep sometimes 6 months for a show just to be on stage. 2
like
minutes. Yeah. Can you imagine a metaphor with that shit? Like when you do Top Dog, you on stage for what? The whole routine is what? 5 minutes, maybe?
No, if it was 5 minutes, that would have been a bad run.
Okay, 3 minutes.
It was like 1.5 minutes for us.
Right. But the hours you put in prior to that, you see what I'm saying? Nobody, and I think, Stan, like the ethics of hard work is people are doing the shortcuts now. Like case in point, man, it's like every first of the year, the gym's packed because of New Year's resolution. Now these motherfuckers taking Ozempic, right? And it's like now, like when I went to college I graduated in 94, but when I was in school, man, we didn't have Chat GPT or whatever, right? We had to write our own thesis. Now you can talk to chat and say, write me a thesis on the Pythagorean theory. Motherfucker gonna give you what you asked for. And it ain't plagiarism. You know, so people are finding shortcuts not to use their brain, man. Yeah. So let's take some questions and comments while we're here because we got a few minutes left.
Yeah. And it's funny that you say that because it's like Usain Bolt trained for 4 years to run for 9 seconds.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Corey Scar said, do you ever collaborate with other top dog trainers to make videos of the compatibilities of the best of their dogs?
So, I mean, I do stuff with John K9. He had a dog named Maker, and Maker was probably one of the only dogs who might have had a faster time than Rocco. But Maker was a dog. He's a border collie, and that dog is very, very impressive. He legit has like 1,000 commands, like no bullshit. And he told me
in English.
Yeah.
Okay.
He told me 10,000 sessions he did with his dog. And he said, I have a logbook if you don't believe me. And I said, no, I believe you. That's some bitch. He can tell him to go R. Kelly and he fake pees on somebody. I was like, oh, yeah, you spend a lot of time with that dog. And I go down to his haunted house every year, and he does a haunted house theme for dogs. So each room is a different movie, and the decoys are basically acting out that, and the dog has to go through it. So I do a lot of stuff with them. That's pretty much the only person I've done anything with from America's Top Dog. The second season, I did stuff with Breg Anderson. He's up in Sherman. He's a police officer. We worked with him a little bit, but most of the Top Dog people are all spread out. So we actually had an event, I think it was about 3 or 4 years ago, and I had a bunch of people come down that were all on America's Top Dog, and we just spent a weekend together working dogs. Probably need to do that again, man. It was a lot of fun. I think people enjoyed it.
Smokestack. I know the answer to this question. Can you read it, Stan, and explain it to people?
Which one?
Smokestack. I just put it on the front screen.
The difference between protection and civil?
Yeah. Sports protection training and civil protection training.
Yeah, so sport dog is going to be more targeted. They're going to be hitting particular spots. So like PSA, they're going to be hitting in the pocket. Nowadays, they're allowing a little bit more leg dogs, but it's primarily like they need to hit in that left pocket, and that's where they need to bite. Sport dogs are going to be judged on how they bite, how they grip, and then how they out as well. A civil protection trained dog is going to really just bite you anywhere, and they don't really care at that point because it's more going to be more real life. And it's not to say that a sport dog can't be civil or a civil dog can't be a sport dog, but you got to make sure that you're showing them as many pictures as you want. I personally would train my dog civil and then go to sport versus going to sport and then trying to go backwards or go to the other side at that point.
I love that. And I'm going to tell you why I do that too now. Because I don't want my dog to get happy or get cranked up when he see tools or sleeves or tugs or balls or rags or a bite suit. No, fuck that. I want him to still be able to zoom on him. The tugs and the sleeves is extra. That's a treat to have that with you. Another question here is
one time I had like my suit and my sleeves and everything in the car, and I had Rocco in there, and we went to like go inside to a restaurant. And somebody's like, "You just gonna leave the dog in there?" I said, yeah. I said, why is he just going to start tearing up the sleeves if there's nobody in it? Like, he's not that kind of dog. And I'm like, well, my dog would go crazy if he seen sleeves. I'm like, yeah, you got an equipment-oriented dog.
Yeah. Procrastinating key. Do you do any socialization among other dogs for your clients? Educate them on dog body language? That's a good question.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, you want to expose the dog to as many different situations as possible. I have 7 personal dogs myself. I got cats. So any dogs that come for
I got 2 cats.
Cats is G, man. Any dogs that come in for the board and train programs, or even if you come out for private sessions or whatever it is, like we're going to expose them to those because, yes, your dog needs to understand that just because a dog is there or a cat or another person, they still need to be responding to the obedience. And the body language, you attempt to educate, but until people actually like look at their dog and start really spending time, they're not going to understand the body language. A lot of people be like, oh, your dog's wagging his tail, he's not going to bite me. I'm like, no, that's not what that means at all. Like, Rocco will be on the bike wagging his tail. Like, that's not what it means. There's different types of wags. There's different types of sways and swooshes that the dog is going to do. And you always have to look at 2 body languages. So don't just look at one. If the dog's tail's wagging but the ears are pinned back, that dog is probably not wanting to get petted there. So body language is one of those that you want to try to educate people on, but unless they really understand what they're looking at, like it's really hard to get it clear to them.
You know, this Transformer K9, hey man, I appreciate you chiming in, man. It's beautiful. But I think he's asking rhetorical questions because he wants questions like these to be responded to so people can know. How important is a handler for sport dog and personal protection? And it's very important. I mean, handler is supposed to know the dog. I mean, point blank. But he also supposed to know who the fucking decoy is and know the decoy's strengths and weaknesses. You can get your dog fucked up in in either sport or personal protection. Get them jammed, break a teeth. But I'll answer that very shortly. Then you can answer that. How important is it a handler? How important is a handler? Very important. The handler should be the goddamn owner of the dog in a perfect world.
The handler is the most important thing in a protection sport or the personal protection dog, because again, they're giving the cues. And I tell people all the time, I'm like, look, if I hand you a sniper rifle and you ain't never shot, you're not gonna be able to hit it. The gun can do it. The gun can hit you from a mile away. But if you don't know how to shoot and measure wind or what you're looking at, you're gonna miss. So it's the same thing with the protection dogs. Like if I handed somebody Boop, he's not gonna perform for them the way that he does for me. He's performing for me because one, I'm giving direction, I'm coaching him, I'm leading him in the way that I want him to go. So he's going to perform a whole lot better for me than he is other people. And even some people, there's my homie Darren, he had a dog named Ghost, and I would take Ghost and I would do obedience with him and I would do some bite work stuff. And he said, man, my dog works better for you than he does for me. I said, well, I'm not letting him get away with it like you do. And it's just one of those jokes that, you know, I can handle your dog better than you can, but it's just, I know what I'm looking for. I've worked with 1,000+ dogs. So it's like, I'm not allowing them to get out of line.
I know you got to go. The last question is, what would you say the biggest misconception about Rottweilers?
The biggest misconception is, that's a lot. There's a lot of misconceptions. I think the biggest misconception is that they would naturally protect. You still have to show the dog what you want them to do. Yeah, they're going to be defensive, but a defensive dog will choose flight if they don't think that they can win. So people get these dogs and they're like, oh, I don't have to do any type of training because they're going to be a natural protector. And it's like, maybe, but do you really want to bet your life on a maybe? Because, I mean, I've seen some dogs that they're Billy Badass behind a fence, but you take them away from that fence and they're like, oh, no, I don't know what to do now.
I'm in another territory. I'm not on my grounds.
Yeah. Or if you don't act afraid of them or you don't give them the reaction that they're looking for, the dog starts looking for an escape route at that point because we're like, oh, that didn't work. I need to get out of here now. I need to get out of here. And yeah, Rotties, they'll lash out, they'll bite. But again, is it a dog that you really want to bet your life on as a fearful dog or a dog you ain't never shown anything to? And I think we've all seen the videos of Dateline NBC. It was like they'll go and break into people's houses and the dog's like, nah, I'm gone. Like, it matters. And even like we did a session with, we had a dog named Chief and we had worked him for probably about 2 years. And then he took off for about a year. And I got a phone call. She's like, hey, can you come do a home invasion? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. We'll come over. So we came in there. I walked in. I had my bunny suit on. And Chief didn't even bite. And I was like, what's going on? He's not doing it. But he also hadn't worked in 2 years. He ain't seen that picture. So he forgot what he was supposed to do. And then once he realized, oh, I'm supposed to bite this, then he was turned back on. But even if you train your dog for a little bit and you stop doing it, like there's no end to protection training with your dog. You always got to do something. I mean, at least every 3 months, take your dog back. If you have a finished dog, take it back just to get those reps in, because if you don't use it, you lose it. I used to be a really good shooter in basketball, but I can take a ball right now. I'm like, oh, I may go maybe 3 for 10 from the 3-point line.
Yeah. That's real.
So if you don't use it, you're going to lose it, man. And it's just the same way with these dogs.
Well, I like to say, man, I want to appreciate you, Stan, from taking the time out on Sunday to chat with me and my followers, and let your followers see you chat with me. You can find Stan on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, and just type in Iron Sharp K9. Iron sharpens iron, right? You got anything you want to say before we leave?
Man, if you are guys getting a dog, let your dog grow up. Do not expect your dog to be finished the very first time you get it. If the first time you show them something they don't get it, it is okay. It is not the end of the world if your dog doesn't do it. But you don't get frustrated, you don't get discouraged, and just keep building the relationship with your dog. The more of a relationship and the bond that you have with your dog, the more your dog is going to be willing to do things for you. You can't force them, you got to motivate them. Make the dog want to work with you, not have to work for you, people.
Hey, with that being said, people, be resilient, but be responsible. Until next time, see you.